And welcome once again to Italy, Monza. Um, I'm trying to bring more variety to my videos in tracks, but it's not always easy. For example, in this case, I didn't have all that much time, so I looked for a quick race. And basically, the only thing that was short and populated and about to start was Monza. So I went out on my outlap, and immediately some people came flying by. I'm not sure what they were doing because the qualifying had only just started, so they weren't on a quali lap themselves. I think it was 7-minute qualifying, or 8 minutes maybe. But anyway, I went out on my quali lap. I saw the drifter behind. In my timing sheet in game, he was 0.8 seconds behind. And I saw the tail end of the previous race, so I knew they were pretty quick. And I thought, well, that's a pretty short gap to leave, or small gap to leave, especially if you're fast. Maybe I'm already too used to the standards of the LFM lobbies, but I figured they might get in trouble with this, get stuck behind me, and I wasn't planning to let them through and ruin my own banker quali lap, because it's on them to manage the gap in front. In the second chicane, I went a little deep. So in the first one, they came close already. It was more concertina effect, but then in the second one, they are all over me. I have to take a defensive line basically into Lesmos 1 and again into Lesmos 2, which was annoying because it will slow me down a bit and will make also matters worse for them. But they were just, getting a sniff of on the inside, and I figured I had to defend. Heading towards Ascari chicane, again they come alongside, and I was pretty annoyed and thinking, well, you do you, but I'm not gonna leave specifically much room for you. So it gets very close on the turn-in, but they do back off a little bit. And now they're flashing their lights. You may have caught it. It was visible in both mirrors for a moment. But yeah, my lap is already a little ruined. It's not gonna be a very good one. Again here, have to be a bit defensive on my turn-in. Again, gonna slow me down a bit. And that will complete the lap. I knew I didn't have a shot of keeping them behind going into the first chicane, so I completed my lap. They bumped me here even, they have overspeed, and then I just figured I'll give them a bit of extra practice on outlaps and leaving a gap by braking very hard, which ruined their freshly started lap, I'm sure, and they asked why I braked, but fuck that guy. Anyway, I went out again and I did a 149.9, so it's alright. I'm happy whenever I hit in the 149s. It's been hasn't been all that long since I've been managing to get that pace, so yeah. My personal best, I think, is a 149.3 at this point in this car. I do have a 148 in GT2, but doesn't count for GT3. But at the start, I have Jared Kwan in front in the black and orange McLaren. I had a slightly better start than them, so I'm looking to get alongside, but they start drifting over to the left. I go onto the grass to get alongside anyway, and then they back off a bit to the right, but I think it took just a little bit of speed away from me that was helping me get alongside. But then they left the outside lane open, so I braked into it and got the overtake done on them. And then coming out of the first chicane, there was Rocamora in the BMW, blue and white BMW. We were alongside, but I got the overtake there. They do get a whiff here in the second chicane, but don't really quite make it alongside. And then Jared Kwan comes blazing past by skipping the chicane. So here again we see I have a bit of extra speed, but I have to take to the grass to try and get alongside, which kills my speed. Also the side draft is probably slowing me down at this point. So in the end I don't actually get alongside, but they stay on the bit defensive, more inside line. Then in the first turn we do come together because they're sandwiched between me and the black car. I'm not sure who that is, but I have the overtake on them. I left room for a car on the inside, but I couldn't know that they were sandwiched, so yeah. Okay, also came down because to them braking a little bit early. Then here the blue and white BMW tries to go for an overtake. I have to go a little deep because the car in front of me surprised me a little bit with how early they brake, so I had to avoid. And then Jared Kwon just decides to bypass the whole chicane to gain a position or two, which, yeah, not very cool. I'm sure they got a warning for track limits for that one, but not much I can do at this point. So on we go. Things have settled down a little bit. I now have Rocamora behind and Jared Kwon in front. Closer to Jared Kwon than Rocamora is to me, so that's where my attention is then in front. So far we have one breakaway car. I'm not sure who that is anymore. But then there's a drifter whom we may remember from qualifying. And then two other Ferraris that I don't really know how to tell apart by colors, but it doesn't matter. Drifter, by the way, is also in a Ferrari. So now we have a pack here of 3 Ferraris close together. Then Jared Kwon in the McLaren, and then me trailing just behind in the Porsche. Jared Kwon gets on the brakes suddenly, which was very surprising. He had to swerve hard, and I was glad not to spin out. This does immediately put me on an offensive line on the inside, so I tried to stick it out. But then mid-chicane, Jared Kwon just shoves me aside, which I don't think was a cool move at all. I think I left him enough room, but we can review it in the replay. So yeah, 3 Ferraris very close. Jared Kwon moving in. 1 Ferrari tucks in behind the other one, and Jared Kwon decides to brake for that. I think they could have just done a little lift, but anyway, I don't spin out, it's all good. And then here, yeah, they try to open up the second corner, but I'm on their outside, so they couldn't really, and they just give me a good shunt, securing the position. But, yeah, not very cleanly. I think if they hadn't done that, I would have been able to easily stick on the outside, and then it would have been a drag race on this section of the track. Now here they take a defensive line. I'm not sure why, because I wasn't close, but that does make them brake early, and then they move back over to the outside, which puts me off kilter, but it's manageable. It does let Bolle come a lot closer behind. So Bolle in, I think also a Ferrari, the Bordeaux car in anyway. So my time to shift my attention here, because Jared Kwon now has a second lead over me, while Bolle is half a second behind, probably looking to make a move here in a Scar chicane, although not actually, I guess. I go very slightly deep into the first corner, but it's really not an issue. I pull through safely, and on exit I open the gap back a little, although 0.3 seconds is of course very close, and Parabolica is definitely my weakest corner here. In front, Drifter and Rescaldani come together, 2 Ferraris. They both spin out in Parabolica, so that's 2 positions gained, but at the same time Bolle just drives past me because I just don't manage to get the power down quite well in Parabolica as per usual. Something I've been thinking about, how can I do better, but I just don't really get there. Now Bolle takes a defensive line here into the first chicane. On the back of me there's a Lord Alistair also getting a whiff, but I have a better exit, so that chance is locked down. And then there was this suddenly this cone flying across the track, and honestly it gave me a bit of a jump scare, is maybe saying a bit too much. I was like, whoop, what's this? Now into the second chicane I go a little bit too deep, but not as much as Bolle. So their exit is very poor, and I pull one side to Lesmos 1. I always feel very iffy about doing an overtake into it, so I use it more to put pressure by opening the line going in, but then backing off a little early. And the same in Lesmos 2. I'm just hoping to put them offline and make it so that from pressure and not being on the ideal line, they will be a bit slower on the exit. Now if you look at the bumper cam of Lord Alistair, we see that indeed it was very close. They were also, by the way, looking to maybe make it a 3 wide into Lesmos 1, but they don't really get alongside, and would have been a very bad idea anyway. So they back off just a little, and then we can see here that the battle continues, and the plan kind of comes to fruition, but not enough. So I have a bit higher speed, and with the draft also I'm catching up a little bit to Bolle, but not quite enough to get alongside already. I went to a Ascari chicane, they decide to defend the outside, so I stick to the inside. I think they get enough room. We do come together a little bit, but yeah, not much or no damage done. It's just I would say door banging, but it wasn't the doors that were doing the banging. But anyway, again, from the bumper cam, we can see I think I left plenty of room. I was on the curb when they hit the back of my car, but very minor. Now, Bolle does have a big wobble coming out of a Ascari chicane, so that gives Lord Alistair immediately the opportunity to pass them by. I'm gonna add, by the way, after the race, I was about to type good race to Bolle, but then Lord Alistair said nice driving to both Bolle and me, and I was like, who's this guy? Because during the race, he wasn't really much on my radar, because yeah, I saw them come sometimes a bit close behind, but at least so far they didn't get by at all, and I wasn't really defending them yet. So I was more looking at Bolle in all of this, but it was kind of a three-way battle. Anyway, start a new lap. I'm now the lead car of that pack of three. Rescaldani did close up a bit, but behind we saw a change of the guards with Bolle passing Lord Alistair, and then vice versa again. So currently we have Lord Alistair behind, but tightly locked with Bolle. We can see on the timing sheet that they're on, the gap behind is the same. We get a brief glimpse in my mirrors. I'm just trying to drive clean lines now and trying to break away from this little pack. But we can take a look at the battle, of course. So looks like Lord Alistair was thinking about doing a dive on the inside on me, but I was braking as late as I could, so it wasn't really feasible for them. But because they were on the more inside line, it left the door open for Bolle to pull alongside and actually outbrake them into the first chicane. Now, coming out of it, the move wasn't done, so they are alongside in Curva Grande, heading towards the second chicane. Lord Alistair got a bit in front, but not enough to really get the lead, I would say. And then Bolle just does better under braking, and already in the chicane, they get the move done. And yeah. In the meantime, I'm lapping a 152.3 as my best lap so far. I've only completed 3 laps, and it's been a lot of dueling, so no big surprise that I haven't gotten a good lap time yet. But I'm looking to fix it, and currently I'm almost 2 seconds up on the delta, so it's pretty neat. And yeah, into Ascari chicane, a much better line where I'm not attacking and sticking to the inside as much, so I get to almost 3 seconds up on my delta. So yeah, it's looking good. There's a chance here to set a new personal best, because so far it was a 149.3 in this car on this track. So let's see if I get there. I do get past the 3 second mark on being up on the delta. And it is a 149.2, so new personal best on Monza in GT3 cars. Pretty happy with that. Also behind we see that Bolle does a 149.7, which in the not very distant past would have made me think, uh-oh, they're gonna catch up. But now I can match that time and even go a little bit faster, so pretty cool. Of course, there is concertina effect. In a very slow first chicane, they come very close, but the gap immediately widens again to, and it's about a second and a half gap behind. Not enough to be safe from overtaking, of course. I'll need to do some more work to really get away, but it's looking promising. And actually, by the way, I'm even up again on my delta, so I put a personal best, but during this lap at points I was up by 0.3 of a second. So I think I might be breaking in the 148s sometime soon if I can keep or do a few more Monza lobbies. I'm not planning to do a few more in the near future, but yeah, if it's the same situation as now where I just kind of have to take what's on offer, then it could happen relatively soon. We'll see. Through a scary chicane, I lose a little bit of time, especially on exit. I had a bit worse exit than on my best lap. And Bolle has closed the gap a little bit, is now less than a second behind. And once again, we're coming up to Parabolica, I mean. So typically the corner where I'm not doing too well. And indeed, we can see that Bolle is showing up on my radar. They don't manage to come alongside yet, but they are very close. They stick on the radar and they have a good draft here, closing up now, heading towards the first chicane. They will take the inside line as I was defending the outside. They come alongside and they get the overtake done, but their first corner was a bit deep and I managed to I do kind of a switchback move where I opened up the second corner for myself so that I can have a good run coming out of the chicane and into the second chicane. Running it back, we can see that indeed into Parabolica they close up the gap a lot. So they don't get the position yet, but basically this is where the overtake really happens because their exit speed again is just high enough that they're right behind me. And with the draft, it's enough to then bring them alongside, as we can see here. I think their car might also just have slightly higher top speed or at least better acceleration. Because it seems that on the straights they do have a bit of an advantage. And yeah, I have a nicer line coming out of turn 2 of the chicane, so I felt like I was gonna pull alongside. I clearly had a bit more speed, but then once I lose the draft, I just fall behind a bit, although of course with the wider line I'm also covering just slightly more ground. And then the side draft is there as well, which does have a bit of a negative effect. Anyway, we're now almost at the second chicane. I was hoping to go for a dive there, but they have a good braking point and I don't think there's a good enough chance, so I back out of it before actually fully trying. Into Lesmos 1, I figured I'll just try to stick with them, get a better exit out of Lesmos 2, and then make the move on the next flat out section. In Lesmos 2, they missed the curb. I think they maybe overcorrected then on the throttle, and then they just end up spinning out, unfortunately. I say unfortunately because I was enjoying this battle a lot. But, let's look at it in the replay again. So missing the curb, coming on the exit, getting on the throttle just slightly too fast, and yeah. They have a bit of a oversteer, which then they try to correct, and then they just swing the other way and hit the barrier. So I was hoping to get a better exit and make an overtake, but not in this way. I was kind of hoping the battle would continue. Anyway, we're back on our way. I'm now checking my position in the race, and I see that in front Jared won. Despite their gaining the position on me, maybe not being the coolest way possible by just cutting a chicane. I do have to admit that they have clearly higher pace than me, so I think it's the natural order of things that they are in P3 and I'm in P4 now. You can see that they do a 149.0 on their latest lap, which I mean it's below my personal best, so can't match that. I was checking behind and I saw that Lord Alistair did a 150.1, whereas my last lap was a 149.8. So I was running out a little bit on them, but not by a huge amount. But with 3 minutes and a half left on the race clock, I figured I could just drive clean laps without too much pressure, not going for a personal best anymore, but just bring it home safe in P4, which I was happy with to end up in. So that's the plan. And now if we look at the position of car number 1, they're just coming out of Lesmos 2 while I'm heading into Lesmos 1. And I have to say that's a lot closer than I'm used to, with being so close to the front end. And if we look at my dash, it's maybe a bit hard to see, but my fuel load at this point was 6.7 liters. And with almost 3 minutes on the clock, there's gonna be 2 more laps, so it's looking a little bit dicey. And now at this point in the race, I wasn't clocking that. I was just kind of thinking about what's the plan, what am I gonna do the rest of this race, because the car in front is quite far away and it doesn't seem likely that I will be catching up. Then Lord Alistair, he was close several times in the race, but Again, I didn't really notice that much. Sorry if he ends up watching this by some giant coincidence. Yeah, I figured, okay, just do neat lap times, bring it home then. It's only 2 more minutes to go, so it shouldn't be an issue anyway. So here we go, starting the next lap, and yeah. Now, of course, I knew because I got the warning. I did do a 149.5 on the last lap, so I was pretty happy with that. But then I saw that Lord Alistair did the 149.6, and I figured, okay, I gotta keep it neat and tidy. But this shouldn't be. This should be at most 2 more laps, so it should be fine. And also, I thought that Monza was about 2.5 liters per lap, but I think it's actually 2.7. So I figured it's gonna be a little tight. Maybe I should do some lift and coasting if I can. So here well, maybe that wasn't really lift and coast, it was full on braking actually. But I'm gonna start doing it at one of the upcoming corners, or at least the very next lap. I think here I lifted a little bit early in the Lesmos one. Well, maybe not so much yet. I guess, oh yeah, I guess I looked at my fuel load at the start of the lap. I saw a little over 5 and I thought, okay, it should be fine. So yeah. It's gonna be tighter than I expected, I can say that much. And I think here I'm actually looking at the counter going down, and it's getting very close to 2.5. And I must have realized at this point that actually it is a little more than 2.5 usage per lap, so I am in trouble, especially now that it's going below. You see 2.4, 2.3, 2.2, and that's where it's at when I start the lap. And yeah, the race engineer says running low on fuel, prepare to come in. But looks like I'm gonna do need to do some heavy lifting coasting. So I did that a bit here, a bit slower to get on the brakes. Probably still should be doing more, but then the issue is that Lord Alistair isn't all that far behind. And at this point I was definitely more aware of how close they were. So I'm a bit between a rock and a hard place. I think now, in hindsight, I probably should have just let go of P4, go for P5. Okay, here I did do a big lift and coast. Also, I just got the chicane, because I didn't have any warnings for track limits yet, so I figured, you know what, I can save a bunch of fuel that way, maybe it'll help and be enough. But the fuel load is already below 1 liter, so it's gonna be very hard. Another big lift and coast there into Lesmos 2. And very slow going on the throttle, and now too I'm not full throttle. As you can see, I did a slight lift, just hoping it would get me there. Fuel load is by now at 0.3, very dicey, 0.2. I figure, okay, I need to cut this entire chicane. I'm not trying to gain time here, I'm just trying to get home. Unfortunately, spin out, take some damage, and also this of course took a lot of my speed away, so yeah. And then on the back straight, I run out of fuel. Lord Alistair immediately comes by. I'm still pushing throttle, but now I realized I need to actually pull in the clutch. So now I'm full clutch and just trying to to just awkwardly, slowly bring it home. I was a little worried about being on the racing line there, but then immediately once the corner continues, you're off it again, and then it stays off the racing line until the finish line. So just slowly getting there. By now I'm P7. I still have about, what was it? I think 66, 65 kilometers per hour on the dash. 60. We're getting there. P8 is coming up fast. P9 is a bit further back, so P8 passes me by. And it's actually gonna be super close with P9. And I think I came in right before P9, so I think I had P8 in the end. But I was very lucky to even make it to the finish line. But a bit of what could have been, because I think P4 would have been easy in the cards if I didn't run out of fuel. But yeah, unique situation for me. In a way, fun to once encounter. Anyway, thank you for watching. Catch you on the next one. Goodbye.